Hey, it is Jamila McMallow, and I wanted to go live. Don't have much of a script here. Just really wanted to hop on here and speak from the heart, if that's what you want to call it. But there really is a shift happening. And it's because of the fact that as women, um, we were sold a bill of goods. We were sold a lie. Many of us were sold a lie. And that lie was that you could go out, do whatever you wanted, sleep around, be with however many guys you want, and you would be okay, that you would be happy. And what the truth is, what many women are coming to realize and appreciate is that that is a lie. Now, what happened is, our mothers came out of a generation where a lot of their mothers stayed home. But then when our mothers came along, all of them mostly worked. And so by the time I'm a Gen Xer, so by the time us Gen Xers came along, we were really conditioned to work, to succeed, to achieve, to almost be very masculine in how we went out into the world and pursued things. Well, typically, it's been kind of like men who've been like the womanizers, they go out and have multiple relationships and all these things. And so, hey, if women can make money, if women can do these things, women can do that too. Here's the thing. Men aren't even happy, that do that. But women thought that they could do it too. And so now we have women in their late 30s and 40s who are realizing that that was not how they wanted to spend their 20s and 30s, is giving parts of themselves away, of becoming attached to men who were not committed to them, to men who were not worthy of having access to that level of intimacy with them. And these women many of them are my clients. And what's really starting to happen is a lot of women are starting to recognize and see that some traditional values actually work. The idea of getting married and having one man sounds like a great thing. Now, there are always going to be the naysayers. And what we don't do here is we don't take advice from people about relationships and about marriage who have never been happily married and who have a negative view of marriage because of what they saw growing up as children or what they experienced in their most previous toxic relationship. There is nothing wrong with the institution or the arrangement of marriage. The problem is most of us, myself included the first time around, most of us, we chose poorly. And when you choose poorly, you suffer. But it's not because you got married, it's because of who you chose to get married to. And so my point, what I'm really trying to say is that the women that come to me have come to a place in their life where they're like, no, I'm not trying to just hook up with some guy. No, I'm not just trying to date and have all these relationships. There are a lot of dating coaches. There are a lot of relationship coaches. There's a lot of stuff out here in the internet streets that's going to teach you how to go out and meet people and have all these different kind of interactions and connections and things like that. But the women who come to me, the women who want to find the last man that they're ever going to date, or the women who have already found a good man and are married to him and want to enhance that relationship and deepen that bond and connection, those are my clients. Now, if that's not you, if you don't share that mentality or thought about men and relationships, feel free not to chime in because it doesn't matter. That way of being, that way of just being all out there and anything goes and you can do whatever you want and find happiness. Tell me one person who's doing that you know personally that is just happy, 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 happy. You don't know anybody like that. You don't. You ain't even happy doing it. Because most people, I won't say everybody because I don't speak for everybody, but most people deep down, at least the women who come to me, I'll speak for the women who are my clients, who are my audience. Deep down, they just want to be with one man, their husband. That's the person they want to find. And so the lie and the bill of goods that you got sold was that you didn't need to do that in order to be happy. Your degree was going to keep you warm in the bed at night. Your career was going to hold your hand when you were laying there on your deathbed or when you were sick and in the hospital. Your business was going to be there for you when you got sick or when you were down and out and needed somebody to come home to and pour into you. You were sold a lie and a bill of goods that working, that a career, that a business was a substitute for a family, was a substitute for a man, was a substitute for a husband, was a substitute for fulfillment. That is a lie. It is not even on the same level. Not at all. Because at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, guess what people don't say on their deathbed? Guess what people don't regret? Man, I wish I would have done more of my business. Man, I wish I would have taken that promotion. Man, I wish I would have made more money. No, they lay there and they think about the relationships that they did not start, the relationships that they did not nurture, the relationships that they did not pour into, or the relationships that they did, because those individuals are sitting there present with them, and the deep sense of peace they feel because they put their energy and focus on what matters, what is most important. Now, I understand that when you are a single woman, single person, adult, period, ought to be able to provide for themselves and take care of themselves. My personal thing is all adults ought to be independent and responsible. That's just like, we're not trying to be out here living with our parents and living off our parents when we're in our 40s and stuff like that. It's just not what we're going to do. It's time to grow up. And most of the women that I know have done that and are doing it well. They're providing for themselves. Some of them are raising kids, running businesses, all of these things. But the point is at the end of the day, there are so many that simply want to have more of that traditional way of things being done, a more conservative way. If you want to use these buzzwords in terms of things like that. Now, we're not talking about you being married to a domineering man and you have no voice, and that was never the design. That's not how God ever created marriage to be. So that's not what I'm talking about, because that's not the construct that I believe in or that I follow. I do believe that the husband is the head of the family, the loving leader of the family. He is not a tyrant. He follows the model of Jesus, and Jesus never lorded his authority over anybody. He didn't walk around saying, I'm the son of God, you gotta listen to me. He didn't do that. He communicated. He listened. He led by his example. And so husbands are to do the same. And so my point is that as a woman, you don't have to feel like it's a betrayal or an indication of some sort of weakness if deep down you actually would love to be taken care of. Now, what I'm not talking about are women who have a sense of entitlement, or women who have never gone out and done anything for themselves, but simply have the strategy of being cared for by men. You know, maybe they grew up without a dad, and so they're really looking for love. And so what they do is go out and look for men with money and play that game, looking for love and what they can take and what they can get, and not really looking to, find the person with whom they can spend the rest of their life. I'm not talking to those women. I'm not talking about those women. I'm talking about you. You got the degree, you got the career, you got the business, you've checked all the boxes, you've done all the things, and you are still alone. And you're not alone because you want to be. You're alone because you were sold a lie that has not panned out and delivered you didn't get what you were promised. You didn't get that fulfillment. Yes, your work is very rewarding. Yes, you love to see the success that your clients or your business creates in the world. Got that. But let me tell you something, after having had dozens and dozens and dozens of conversation with women about this very topic, with the type of woman that I'm talking about right now, that come home to an empty house. There's no man there for them to fall into his arms and just allow them. See, when you're always in the role of CEO, when you're always in the role of boss, when you come home, you just want to not have to make any decisions. You just want somebody else to take care of you. Not like you're a damsel in distress, not like you're a helpless vixen or something like that. No. See, that's the negative messaging and languaging that we've been given surrounding the idea of a man caring for us as women. And that's the lie. It's not a bad thing. There are men who want to take care of you. So why wouldn't you want a husband who wants to take care of you? I don't get that. And not saying that him wanting to care for you means that he does not want you to work, that he wants you to stay home. I'm just simply saying that he wants to be the provider. He wants to be there for you. See, all of this change and rhetoric and messaging and conditioning around women has changed women. But guess who has not changed? Men have not changed fundamentally in what they want in a wife. They have it. Now, I will say that the men today are way better at being a father than maybe the generation of our dads. Like my husband has been hands-on from the beginning. He changes diapers. We're like true partners in that. However, I'm still the primary caregiver because I work from home, and that's our value system. Is I want it to be, even long before I even met my husband, long before I had kids. I said, when I have kids, I want to be at home with my kids to raise my kids. I don't want anybody raising my kids, because my mother worked full time and I was in daycare and with babysitters and all that stuff, and I hated it. And I said I would never do that to my kids. And so I'm not. And so that's our value system. Yours might be different. That's fine. But my point is the men today tend to be more involved with the parenting and with the fathering. That load is not just heaped upon the mother. Yes, the mother still does the majority. Let's keep it real. But we got a lot more dads, getting up in the middle of the night, changing diapers and all that. So I will say that in that way, this generation of men has changed. However, fundamentally, what a masculine man, which is the type of man that the women see, I'm speaking to a very specific type of woman. I work with a very specific type of woman who wants a very specific type. This ain't no general video. Oh, this is just for everybody. It's not. It's not. So if this doesn't speak to you, good. That means it's not for you. But if you're like, yeah, okay, tell me more. Then I'm talking to you, okay? And so the women that I work with, the women that I'm talking to, like I said, are very driven, ambitious, powerful in what they do in their career and their businesses. But ultimately, when they get into a relationship with a man, they don't want to be in that role. They want to be able to lean back and be more feminine and allow him to lovingly lead the relationship, to lovingly lead once they're married, the family, because your boyfriend ain't the head of your family, and neither is your fiance. Your husband is the loving leader of the family. Okay, let's keep that real, because your husband has made a commitment between God and government to be with you for the rest of his life. He is bound up with you emotionally, spiritually, financially, the whole thing. If there ever was a deeper commitment, then it's that. You commit yourself to God, that's the first thing. But when you commit yourself to your mate, that's solid. It's supposed to last forever. So that bond is real. And the key to it is, of course, number one, choosing wisely. And I always talk about that because that's the key to success. Is you have to choose wisely as step one. And then, of course, you have to put in the time and effort and energy to nurture and support that relationship. But coming back to what I was saying, when you are a woman who is operating in your masculine energy most of the time, but your desire is to be with a masculine man, the disconnect is understanding how to lean back into your feminine energy and allow a man to do things for you, to allow yourself to receive being cared for without feeling like it's denoting a weakness on your part or that it is diminishing who you are. It's no different than when he goes out into the world and does what he does at work. When he comes to that door, you don't want him bringing any of that in the house. You're like, leave that stress and anxiety and nonsense out there. Don't bring it in the house. It's the same for us. It's the same for you. You want to boss people around all day and you making all this. You can't come in the house and think you're about to run your man like you run your business. And I know you don't want that, but it's kind of hard. You don't know how to do anything different. And so the lie and the bill of goods that you were sold was that all you needed to know how to do to be successful as a woman is to know how to work, to know how to get a job, to know how to succeed in corporate, to know how to succeed as an entrepreneur. But you ain't got to know nothing else. You don't have to understand what it means to be in your feminine energy, which is actually your superpower. That is what makes you powerful. It's what sets you apart. It is not a weakness. And when you understand, when you finally understand and learn how to be feminine and powerful, my friend, you will have the holy grail for success and ease in your life. You do not have to go out there and fight the way you've been taught, the way we were taught. I don't know what these Generation YZ and all this. I know about the Xers, okay? Because that was, we were ingrained. That's how it was. We had to be better, faster, smarter, all those things. And even more so, if you're a Black woman, okay? Because that was my experience, right? So yeah. So what I'm saying to you is there is nothing wrong with you if deep down you actually desire a more traditional lifestyle, traditional relationship. That you're like, no, I actually do. I don't mind. I would love to meet a man where I could be a kept woman. Now, I'm not saying that maybe is your extreme extent, like you're like, no, I don't, he can, I can drive the Benz, go to Pilates classes, whatever, and live in the gated community. Maybe that's not your scenario. Maybe you just want to have, a partner, a man who's going to be a partner with you in life, so you no longer have to do everything alone, because that alone ain't it. I'm sorry. I've been there, done that. Being alone ain't cute. Maybe some of it, listen, when a woman comes to me and she's spewing that venom of, well, I don't need no man and I'm happy by myself, thank you for letting me know how hurt you have been by men. Thank you for letting me know how deeply you have been conditioned to loathe the idea of allowing a man to have any sort of connection to you in your life in any way. And thank you for letting me know how icky it feels to you to even think about having any sort of reliance on a man, or him having any sort of control or involvement. Thank you for letting me know that, because now I understand where your healing needs to begin. Only if you want it, though. Not everybody wants it. Some folks are not healed and they're happy to stay where they're at because they've managed to carve out whatever measure of happiness they want to have. And I'm not sitting up here saying, oh, everybody ought to get married. No, everybody shouldn't get married, because everybody ain't ready to be married and everybody don't want to be married. See, you got folks getting married who shouldn't be married and folks getting married who don't want to be married. That's the problem. Because maybe you wanted to be married and he didn't, or he wasn't mature enough, or you made a decision when you were way too young, like I did, and you suffered for it, but you let it taint your view of the arrangement of marriage. You let it taint your view of men. You let it taint your view of being in a partnership with a man, of being in a marriage, in a an interdependent relationship. You let it taint that for you. And so what happens sometimes is when we've been hurt, or when we have watched our mothers suffer as single women who got abandoned by their husbands, who didn't step up to the plate and do what they were supposed to do, we will say, that'll never be me, or I'll never do that again. And where you really are stuck is in a state of bitterness and anger. And even if you never get married again, even if you say, I'm going to do the rest of my life by myself, you still have got to come out of that state into a place of neutrality when it comes to how you view marriage and men and relationships with men, because that's going to allow you to release all that and be healed. You can be alone if that's what you want to be, but you ain't got to be stank and bitter about it and looking down on women who don't want that. They don't think it's cute. They don't take pride in doing everything by themselves and being tired. Ain't nothing wrong with you, sis, if you want a man. You're not desperate. Now, you are desperate if you don't have any standards. And you are desperate if you keep going out there and just you haven't done any work on yourself, and you just keep going out there thinking you're going to feel your way through and find a good man. Okay, I'm going to need you to time out and pause it real quick. The women that I work with, typically when they've come to me, they put a pause on the whole dating, the single women, because I also work with married women, but the single women, they put a whole pause, and then we work together so we can put a stop to the shenanigans and the nonsense and all the garbage that they've been experiencing in their dating life right before they reach the point of hopelessness. Because another reason why what happens is some women have become hopeless, and that could be you. You could feel like, Jamila, okay, whatever, you're talking about all this and that, but guess what? I'm 40, 8 years old, and I've dated and I did all these things, in my 30s, and I still ain't found nobody, and and it's not gonna happen for me. And I'm gonna let you know right now, okay, that's what you believe. That's what you believe. It don't make it true. A belief is simply something that you have been told, that you have continued to tell yourself over and over again, that your brain has accepted as true and fact, and it seeks out evidence in order to prove you right. So you will attract relationships, situations, and experiences that prove what you believe to be true, correct, over and over and over again. Don't mean it's true, because there are women like me who are happily married and living a great life. And that's your evidence that it can happen for you if that's what you want. If it's not what you want, I'm surprised you're still watching, but thank you. I appreciate the engagement. But I'm really here for the woman who wants to be married, who wants to date for the purpose of marriage, who is done with the shenanigans, who was leaning towards, who's like, okay, well, I've done it this whole new age, whatever way, and I get it now that, man, that ain't working for me. It's not working for me. I've given too much away of myself in time, in my energy, in my emotions, and having to heal and overcome this relationship and that situationship and all this and that. When you're done with that, the women who come to me are done with that. And they're like, I need to heal from all of that. I need to change the way I see myself, men, marriage, relationships. And I need a whole new construct so that I can attract a good man that exceeds my dreams. Exceeds, because guess what? If you don't have necessarily a healthy view of marriage, then what you've been dreaming about, honey, that's not even what you that's not even really what's going to make you happy. Because when you get into that healed state, when you choose to invest in yourself, the money and the time and the energy that it takes, and it's not hard, okay? It's simple. It's not easy, but it does take effort. But here's the thing. It's such a huge payoff. It's like we go to college and we drop hundreds of thousands of dollars on these degrees where we forget 99% of what we learn. We stay in student debt for another 20 to 30 years, if ever, or we just die with student debt. And we think that that got us somewhere better in life. It may have gotten you a better job, but you're still paying on that. And you haven't changed. You acquired some knowledge, but it doesn't have a continual ROI. But when you invest in yourself, when you invest in a transformation, that means changing who you're actually being in here. That has a ROI that lasts for the rest of your life, because you literally become a different person. You literally think, feel, and believe differently about everything, and you therefore make different choices and decisions. And so your life completely changes. Your relationships completely change. The type of men you attract completely changes. The way you navigate your relationships with men completely changes. And so you're not going to be able to DIY a transformation or a change of this magnitude, because what did I say at the beginning of this? You were sold a lie in a bill of goods. You were taught and conditioned to be a certain way. So how are you going to learn how to be different from yourself? You can't. Because you can't. That's not how that works. When we want to learn a new skill, when we want to transform, when we want to become better and different, we need help outside of ourselves. We need some guidance in that regard. And I know, listen, you ain't new to investing in yourself. Like I said, you got all those, a complete alphabet behind your name. But what you may be unfamiliar with is investing in yourself when it comes to coaching. Maybe that feels like out in the air. Maybe you see so many people on Instagram and Facebook calling themselves a coach and this and this. And I'm with you. I'm like, who is what? Listen, I'm a happily married woman. So I'm not out here giving relationship advice that I don't learn from a book, or, from, oh, I think I know that. No. I'm talking to you from experience, and I have results. My clients, the women that I've actually guided through this process. Okay, that's what you want to use as listen, you ain't got to work with me, but I please work with somebody before you continue to go out there and put yourself out there and try to find the good man and the right man for you. But do your due diligence, do your homework. You can literally go down the rabbit's hole on my YouTube channel. You can go down the rabbit's hole on my LinkedIn, on my Facebook, and you will see my information, my posts, my content is consistent. It's telling you the same things over and over. You can look at my client testimonial videos. You can watch the whole thing, and you can see that I have been doing this for a long time. I'm not an amateur, and I'm not just telling you this from, like I said, I've lived it. See, if I want to, like I said, if I wanted to be happily married, then I'm going to be looking to someone who is happily married to be giving me relationship advice. I think it's way too many people out here who have never been happily married, have a negative view of marriage, and yet are giving relationship advice. Hey, to each his own. If that's what you want, go. But I know for me, like, for example, in my business, when I wanted to improve my sales, when I wanted to improve my income, I looked for someone who was great at sales. Like my business coach, she's great at sales. She's making a lot of money. And she was able to transfer that skill set to me. I didn't look for somebody who was not even making as much money as I was to teach me how to make more money. That just didn't make sense to me. And I'm not saying that if you hire a business coach that, they have to be making more money than you. It just depends. She and I are in the same industry, so she better be doing better than me. But she has clients who are real estate agents who sell $1 million properties, so they make more money than her. But she still possesses a skill set and the expertise that allows them to sell those $1 million properties. They weren't selling $1 million properties before they started working with her. So I say all of that to say that even I choose to continue to invest in myself to improve my skill set, my mindset, my way of thinking, feeling, and being. And so I'm just letting you know that if this is an area that you want to shift and change for yourself, if you want to attract a good man and have a loving, healthy relationship with him, then you have to invest in that, just like you did to get your education, just like you did to start that business. This is no different. Don't DIY your relationships. This is the after your relationship with God, the rest of your relationships are what are the most important thing in your life and what are going to matter at the end of the day. So I just wanted to make this live really quick because I just wanted to come on here and talk to you about this topic because, like I said, there is a change of brewing. Some women are feeling a leaning to going back more towards, like I said, some of these more traditional ways of being in relationships with men. And guess what? Ain't nothing wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong with it. It does not diminish your success. It does not diminish your independence. You are still amazing, and there's nothing wrong with you if you want a husband to share your life with, to share duties with, to share everything with. Nothing wrong with that. And so that's really what I wanted you to understand today is there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with wanting a man and wanting a husband. It doesn't make you weak and it doesn't make you desperate. And yes, you can have it if you're willing to do the work and to put in the time and effort and energy to create that result with guidance. So thank you for stopping by. Please comment hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. And please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and click the little gray bell so you can get notified the next time I'm going live. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time.